Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video, and it's another Friday, and it's another round of class tuning adjustments. Did your spec manage to dodge the guillotine for another week? Because there has been a tremendous amount of discovery going as far as viability and power of specializations, whether it's on the PvE side or the PvP side, as players are discovering new set bonuses, whether they may be bugged or not, it's still yet to be seen, but it's creating a lot of chaos amongst the PvP scene, and it's becoming very difficult to dial in on what exactly is the most OP. And obviously these types of changes are a good way to see how they're going to be tailoring the game towards what specializations and possibly towards what type of meta that the game could have. So it's always a really good idea to stay up to date with these, and you can by smashing that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So they start the post off with the beginning of season 3 raiding dungeons and PvP. We very quickly saw data that supported making tuning adjustments to a number of classes that are over and underperforming. These adjustments will be implemented with scheduled weekly maintenance on August 19th. Fire mages, you're getting a little bit of a gift. A 4%. 3% guy got promotion. 4%. Flame strike damage in PvP is not really going to matter. This is all that's really going to matter. Rets are getting a 5% damage buff, and apparently Ret Paladins are on the Discord protesting how bad they are in PvE. But fortunately, Blizzard is restricting some of these buffs in PvP, because obviously in PvP, Ret Paladin is absolutely smashing. One of the best specs that you could go for, but you will not be seeing this buff in PvP despite all the protesting in PvE. Affliction Warlock was definitely leading, I believe, on most raid logs that I'd seen for the new raid. That's redundant to say, raid logs, one would assume it's for the raid, of course. So what am I doing? But they're getting a 3% nerf that will not be applied in PvP, which is wise. I don't think Affliction is at all overpowered at the moment in PvP, and it's probably really unlikely that we'll see it at tournament level. I think survivability is going to be an issue for it, and it doesn't. You can maybe go demonology at tournament level, but you just DR stuns for the most viable melee, so it's probably It's probably going to be a Gamescom. We're not probably going to have any warlocks, or maybe it's a small chance. Maybe I'm trying to think Mercy would be the only one that maybe, if they can find a comp, would be playing that. I'm kind of expecting a lot of Warrior Ellie, especially with how good Warrior is at the moment. And so speaking about Warrior, you guys also at the bottom in PvE charts, so you're getting an 8% buff, but not in PvP. I think that's wise. I also really like the fact that Arms Warrior and Fury Warrior are very closely balanced right now. I do actually think you can play either one if you want to. How we got to that point, yet to be seen. But it's very cool that they're actually both as equally viable as they are. And those are the changes there. Obviously for PvP, it's just Fire Mage, which is important to take note of because of the PvP specific changes that are coming through. Some of them give me great concern, and some of them are going to make Death Knights cry immensely. The 2-set bonus between the Medallion and the Emblem is going to grant you 5% more stamina. Now, obviously the game is pretty bursty. This is them basically saying every spec is bursty, which I don't know if is 100% true. And if it's not true, it could have bad implications on slowing the game down a lot. And I'm actually very concerned because I think this is likely the last round of tuning adjustments we're going to get for the tournament. So I'm really hoping the tournament isn't going to be a super damp fest as a result of this stamina increase here. Because obviously the best players in the world, they're going to know exactly how to trade all their cooldowns and communication with each other. And if this slows the game down to any significant margin, there could be some dangers there. But I do agree that burst is too high. It's just whether or not a blanket nerf is appropriate to address it, or specific tuning, right? Like Marksman Hunter is obviously an individual outlier. Arcane is an outlier. I'm worried that the game will end up just being only one shots and playing into really deep dampening with a change like this. So I am concerned. They do say that their intent with this is to slightly increase the time it takes to kill an enemy in PvP combat and to give players more time to react to incoming bursts. So I do think that it's honest intentions, good intentions, but every time I've seen them make a change like this, if it's not true that every class burst damage is high, it slows the game down. Now 5% I think is a lot less though than the numbers that I've seen in the past for a change like this, because this is a common change that they make. So maybe it won't be major. Maybe it could though. So definitely one to keep an eye on. Anti-magic zone's getting a buff in PvP because it's just hot garbo, right? So it's going up to 30% magic damage reduction. And you can't break AMZ anymore. It's going to stay up permanently. So this is just like a nice bark skin effect basically for magic damage, which is nice for Death Knight. But unfortunately, Frost is the recipient of even more nerfs. Deathbringer, Reaper's mark damage reduced by another 25% in PvP combat. And just when you thought your Death Coil was doing something good on Holy Death Knights, you got the wound nerf last week, you're getting a Death Coil nerf this week. You know what I think this is? Too many of you guys play DK because they said they monitor the data, right? They're monitoring the data. So whose data are they monitoring, bro? You guys, I know how you guys can avoid getting nerfed. Just don't play your DK for the first 3 weeks, right? Like just wait till halfway through the season when changes slow down and we don't really start seeing them. You guys need to go into hiding. Just don't even play. You're giving them the data. You're doing this to yourselves. You guys just need to go into hiding at the start of a patch when all these changes are bumped up in frequency. And then you might end up being good at the point in the season where it really matters, you know? Instead of the first 2 weeks where you're cheesing around and MMR's not inflated and you can't go anywhere. I'm just trying to help you guys out, okay? I'm trying to help you guys out. That's the only strategy I can come up with right now on the spot is that you guys need to stop giving them the data. Just stop playing for the first couple of weeks and then just chill out a little bit and then come back in. Boomkin is getting some changes as well. Whirling Stars is going to reduce Celestial Alignment or Incarnation duration by 30%, up from 20. So Incarn is not going to last that long anymore. It's going to be a smaller window, as well as a 4% damage nerf to all spells and abilities. I do agree with the damage nerf. Duration of this, I guess they're worried about like how many buffed up Star Searches you can get in a row, especially with all the cloning on the set bonus. Another concern is specs that have set bonuses right now that are greatly boosting their damage and maybe weren't tested right on the PTR. I don't think there's a huge amount of public PvP testing. So as far as knowing exactly like which set bonuses are crazy strong, which ones are bugged, that data doesn't exist until we play it live. Doing baseline changes to classes if their set bonus is the problem, I think it's dangerous because that set bonus will go away and then it has to be remembered that that nerf happened and then it's got to be recompensated and it's an ongoing process, right? I think if it's a set bonus related thing that's a problem, it's always better to target the set bonus. Although Boomkin, I don't think the 2 set bonus is that great, so maybe this is justified. This 4% is definitely justified. We'll have to see with the Whirling Stars though. And this is the biggest one, I think, is Frostfire Mage. So they're reducing Frostfire Bolt's damage by 13%, which will affect fire as well. Whether this means that they're trying to shift mages completely out of Frostfire, because I think for the most part you've played it the entire expansion, right? Into Sun Fury and then into Spellslinger for Frost. It's the one with the splinters. Trying to force you off into like different hero trees because this is a big part of your damage. They're also nerfing your Isomethic Core Comet Storm damage. This is a big one by down to 150% from 200. That's a lot of burst damage loss on your Comet Storm or your Meteor hit. So this could absolutely, I don't doubt that this will absolutely slaughter the hero talent for Mage. And if the other hero talent tree isn't good, you might be in trouble. Maybe it randomly is and people just haven't tried because this one's been good for so long. That's a possibility. If it's not, then I imagine Frost Mage is falling off a cliff. And if Frost Mage falls off a cliff, you better believe these warriors are ready, bro. These warriors are ready to send it. They are ready to destroy. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for the warrior wave. Arcane, they're targeting Sun Fury. Arcane Soul now increases the damage of Arcane Barrage only by 5% per stack, down from 15%. So you're losing that massive, juicy Execute Barrage. Mages are somehow not getting away with being super OP. Usually you guys are super OP. Like, I don't know. This tournament, man, you might not be able to play Frost or Arcane, and I think that Fire's super squishy. This tournament is going to be a crazy meta at Gamescom between Europe and North America. It's going to be absolutely crazy, I think, with these changes, because unless they just like roll out changes on Monday. Another thing, too, is the tournament is going to be in max level gear, item level. They'll have every set bonus, which is going to be crazy. I feel like the tournament's going to be super entertaining because no one's going to have any idea what's good, you know? Sometimes the tournament is just one team practice the most OP comp for 4 months and we just see them go back and forth with the most OP comp. They're going to have like basically no time to figure out what the best thing is. And the guys who want to run their like standard comps like RMP with these nerfs to Frost and Arcane, I don't know if you can reliably do that. So this is going to be a very hectic tournament. And I'm kind of for it. You know, we've had a lot of tournaments where they have 5 months to practice the most OP comp. We've never had a tournament where you got no time. You got to figure this out on the go. And I think that's like a nice, interesting change there. Hyperthermia for fire. Stacking damage bonus to Power Blast and Flame Strike has been reduced to 5% per stack in PvP, down from 15. So no mage is getting away completely unscathed. They targeted all 3 of them. Oh, man. The thing is, though, is that this is actually a nerf to hunters, because hunters need these mages to feast. And if there's no mages to feast on, the hunters will starve. And if the hunters starve, then what happens? Is it just cleaves? I think it's just Zugs. We're going straight into Zug City, baby. And for Rogue, which might come as a surprise, is actually getting a nerf. If you haven't gotten the 2-set bonus that buffs the coin damage basically for Fatebound, you won't understand this nerf. But if you have gotten it, you will. The coins are basically doing your number 2 damage. It was a lot of damage. So they're nerfing the tails and lucky coin damage by 33%. And this was something unforeseen, right? I said Outlaw Rogue was like on the bottom of all my tier lists. But once I got this tier set and you switched over to Fatebound, suddenly they were really popular, really strong. But maybe not after this. So rogues and mages getting nerfed. Is this going to be the first time a tournament is not dominated by a rogue and a mage? Well, time will tell. But those are the nerfs. So rogue players, mage players, DK players, Boomkins, maybe Boomkin a little bit less than everybody else. We're getting some nerfs. We're going to have to deal with it. We're going to have to press on. I think DK is probably still decent. Even, you know, it's holding on pretty strong even despite the most recent nerfs. I think it will likely still be decent even despite this. But that's it for the update here. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Thank you guys very much for watching. And I will see you in the next one.